From there, he's been in touch with them. He moved on to become the Maulvi at the Naugam Mosque, where these OGWs were also regularly going for prayers. He is the ideological link in this entire growing chain. In the first week of November, Zamir Ahangar was also brought in for questioning. The focus now shifting towards a network of educated operatives, individuals, sympathizers who are highly radicalized and being motivated by Maulvi Irfan. Then came the breakthrough. During interrogation, Dr. Adil Ahmed, already in custody from Saharanpur, revealed a deeper conspiracy, one that pointed investigators towards Faridabad. So how did Adil Ahmed come under the radar? Because of this entire poster incident from Naugam, they realized that this person is in Kaziganj. He is also part of this network who is connected with Maulvi Irfan and Zamir Ahangar. Adil, during interrogation, talks about Faridabad, and days later the Faridabad model was busted. Jammu and Kashmir police coming in, working with the Haryana police, raids are conducted that leads to recovery of not just weapons but a massive quantity of explosive making material, including ammonium nitrate, nearly 3 tons of explosive making material, confirming fears of a coordinated terror plan and a series of terror attacks that were being planned. On 9th of November, the investigators seizing over 2,900 kilograms of explosive material in Faridabad from the Fatehpur Taga village. The first cache was caught from the Dhauj village, all around this Al-Falah University, where now the key accused, Dr. Umar Nabi, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Adil and Dr. Shaheen, all of them were operating or working in. Now, one of the largest seizures in recent history. The next morning, 2 more doctors, including Dr. Shaheen Shahid, were arrested. Both were linked to the Al-Falah University and now under intense scrutiny for the alleged infiltration by this entire module. The 4th suspect, Umar Nabi, believed to be the suicide operative, managed to evade capture and he was on the run. The authorities were closing in.
Designs that turn heads, innovations that change the routes, and quality that you can see and feel. That's Okera, and nothing shows it better than the orchid. The first solitaire diamond cut as a perfect 5-petal flower with over 300 facets. A story of beauty, a story of brilliance. This is not just jewelry, it's innovation. Okera, by choice.
Okera.
But their registration certificate here at CNN News 18 was shown was fake. Now this entire terror trail has been pieced together. The originators or the ideological fountainhead is the Jaish, because Maulvi Irfan was in touch with the Jaish operating out of Nangarhar via Threema, Telegram and also VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. And he was using these platforms to also send radical material to these students who he had cultivated over the last many years. That's how this entire module now shaped, and we pieced it all together to bring to you the entire story. How a small investigation, a small piece of information stumbled upon on the 17th of October leads to the crackdown of one of the most elaborate white-collar terror modules in recent times.
And let's also now play out a reaction. This is the sister-in-law of one of the key conspirators, possible suicide bomber, Dr. Umar Nabi, who possibly was driving that I-20 car. His sister-in-law has gone on record. Here's what she's claiming.
महीने पहले आया था 2 महीने पहले वो यहाँ आया था।
तो क्या कुछ बातचीत हुई थी और वो काम क्या कर रहे थे?
वो एज ए प्रोफेसर वहाँ पढ़ा रहे थे।
तो इस इंसिडेंट के बारे में कब आपने सुना ऐसा हुआ है?
हमने तो इससे पहले नहीं, उसने तो फोन भी किया था फ्राइडे को।
तो क्या बातचीत हुई थी जब उसने फोन किया?
बस मैंने उसे कहा कि घर आ जाओ, यहाँ पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम चल रही है, कुछ जवाब दो, जो भी होगा आमने सामने बात करेंगे, पता चलेगा आपको भी, हमें भी पता चलेगा, हम भी बेफिक्र रहेंगे। हमें बहुत ज्यादा फिक्र लगी है।
पुलिस कब आई आपके पास और क्या कुछ कहा पुलिस ने कल आपसे?
कुछ भी नहीं कहा, उन्होंने उनको ले लिया, बोला कि हमें थोड़ी सी पूछताछ करनी है बस। वो ज्यादा बातें भी नहीं करता था, बस अपने काम में मशगूल रहता था।
आज़ाद, आप डॉक्टर मुजम्मिल के भाई हैं, कहाँ पढ़ाई हुई उनकी पहले, यहाँ पे डॉक्टरी कहाँ से करी हुई?
जी सर, जीएमसी जम्मू से वो MBBS पेमेंट सीट पर आए थे। जी सर, वो उधर जीएमसी बात्रा में।
तो आखिरी बार उनसे कब बात हुई थी आपकी, जो घर वालों की बात कब हुई?
हर दिन हो रही थी, पिछले 13 दिनों से नहीं हो रही हैं।
वजह क्या थी कि 13 दिन से बात नहीं हुई? कुछ पता
जी सर, पुलिस ने बोला ये उसने हमें गिरफ्तार किया है, उसको गिरफ्तार
13 दिन से उनकी गिरफ्तारी थी, पुलिस के कस्टडी में थे।
वरना हर दिन फ़ोन कॉल हो रहे थे, वीडियो कॉल, सब कुछ हमें मिला। हाँ सर।
तो कभी आपको अंदेशा था कि मतलब ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है कभी ज़िंदगी में आपकी?
सर जी, पहली बार ऐसा एपिसोड देखने को रहा हूँ जब से हमारे पास कोई केसेस नहीं है, मतलब कोई केस नहीं है हमारा इससे वाबस्ता।
तो ये बताइए कि मुजम्मिल आने वाले थे, आपने कहा कि कब आने वाले थे?
जी सर, 5 तारीख को आने वाले थे, हमारी बहन की शादी थी 9-10 को। जी सर।
तो वो आते थे यहाँ पे?
साल में 2 बार, मुश्किल से 3 बार। पिछली बार वो आया था, हमारे पापा की छठी सर्जरी थी उसी दिन।
यहीं पे रहते हैं कुछ दूरी पे? डॉक्टर उमर से कोई मुलाकात थी उनकी?
हमारे साथ कोई राबिता नहीं है, ना हम किसी को जानते हैं, ना हम आदिल को जानते हैं, ना।
And we are now getting a very important update in the Delhi terror blast probe case. We are learning that the blast probe has been handed over to the National Investigation Agency. A big update that's coming in right ahead of the second address and second meeting by the Union Home Minister, who will be looking at this very high profile terror case. And now we are learning that it is the NIA that will be looking at the Delhi terror blast probe. Now, the Delhi terror blast probe has been handed over to the NIA, and this is the update that we have for our viewers at the moment. And this announcement possibly is also going to be discussed at that big meeting that the Union Home Minister will be having. My colleague Arunima is joining us with all the latest on this. Arunima, NIA steps in now.
On expected lines. We've been reporting since last evening that in all likelihood NIA will take over. The paperwork took a bit of a time, but today after the meeting that Home Minister took around 11 o'clock this morning, it was clear that NIA DG Sadanand Date, who was present there, along with Commissioner of Police Satish Golcha and Special Commissioner Special Cell Anil Shukla, it was clear that they were asked to share inputs real time. Coordination has to happen. This is a multi-state probe now. Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Delhi. So NIA is the best suited agency for doing this kind of a multi-state union territory probe, and that's why a decision was taken. I think the file has been signed by the Home Minister, and now NIA is in the process of re-registering the FIR, which would begin their investigation.
How soon is that meeting beginning at the Union Home Minister's residence now, Arunima?
The meeting has shifted to the Ministry of Home Affairs, the new building of Kartavya Bhavan, and all the officials have started coming in one by one. So I think in the next 15 minutes or so, you will hear that the meeting has begun. This meeting is part 2, because in part 1 of the meeting, we saw Home Minister giving specific instructions to the IB, to the city police, as well as to the NIA. The visuals were quite evident. All the DGs were taking notes as the Home Minister gave instructions. So I think round 2 of the meeting is to get in more information and set in motion the instructions that were given, implementing them.
Right. Arunima, Amit Shah, the Union Home Minister, was the first high-profile minister to reach the very incident of where the crime happened, also at the hospital. And he was the one who made that announcement that we will be, in fact, investigating on this case as with a terror angle in place. So that was a nod that was granted. Now the NIA steps in. And there have been a lot of developments that have happened since then, including how the Faridabad, the Jaish module has found linkages to this blast that has taken place. There will be ample amount of deliberations now that the NIA steps in, and of course the meeting is going to be a longer one this time around. The specific announcements that we are expecting after this meeting culminates.
Law and order in Delhi directly falls under the Home Ministry. The Home Minister is the minister in charge for Delhi's law and order, because the National Capital Territory Act of Delhi makes it very clear it's a union territory which has a legislature. The Chief Minister is not responsible for Delhi Police, it is the Home Minister. And this attack has happened just ahead of the Parliament session. The winter session begins from 1st of December. The opposition, even though initially it restricted its commentary on social media to expressing shock and expressing condolence to those who had lost their lives, but now you see the guns are coming out, the knives are being sharpened, because this has happened in the national capital. And in the past, Bharatiya Janata Party government has attacked the Congress-led UPA for the kind of terror scenario that unfolded in 2008-2009. So the opposition was also ready to sharpen its attack. In that backdrop also, you have to see how Home Minister led from the front. He was there at the spot within no time. He also visited the hospital. He has been in touch with all the agencies right from the time the news of the blast came in. And even today, when multiple meetings are underway, I think the basic focus is to ensure absolute coordination. This is a module which is not of, this is not Kashmir that you're talking about. This is not a module where you can allege that, line of control has been breached or international border has been breached and a Jaish-e-Mohammed or a Lashkar Tanzim has come in. This is heart of India. This is the national capital, and the people who are in the dock are doctors. They are well-educated people, not somebody who's been brainwashed because of lack of education or because of poverty. So this is a new kind of dynamic, a new kind of challenge that has been thrown towards the internal security establishment of the country. And as head of that establishment, Home Minister is leading from the front.
One major lapse that has happened, Arunima, is the fact that this car went unnoticed, even though now we are learning through fresh CCTV footages that this was present in the National Capital Territory, particularly Faridabad in Haryana, days ahead of this attack. And we have just shown a CCTV image that dates 29th of October. So the recce was in place. This car was very much in the National Capital Territory with a fake registration number plate, and yet it could not be nabbed.
It reminds me of what then Union Home Minister P. Chidambaram used to say. He would often say, and it was a time when Delhi, be it Sarojini Nagar, be it Lajpat Nagar, be it the Batla House, it was getting rocked with one incident after the other, apart from the rest of the country. So at that time, Chidambaram used to say that, they have to get lucky only once. We have to get lucky all the time. It looks like they got lucky this time around, because even though Faridabad module was getting busted, and Jammu and Kashmir police had alerted that Dr. Umar was missing in action, but I don't think the details of these vehicles were available till the time the blast happened and it was caught on CCTV camera. Had the car not been caught on CCTV at the parking lot, and then subsequently the damage to the vehicle that has happened, the rear end of the vehicle is completely gone, but the front portion, the number plate is clear. That was a crucial evidence for the police to begin investigation. I think in that sense, police got lucky that they managed to immediately seize the number plate and match it with the CCTV footage, get the full frontal face of Dr. Umar. That CCTV grab, the features are clearly visible. So in that sense, they got lucky. But yes, you can argue that if the Faridabad module and was under scanner, yet the car was driven from Faridabad via the Badarpur toll all the way to Delhi, you can argue that is a lapse.
Yeah, absolutely, Arunima. We'll keep an eye on this story now that NIA steps into the terror blast probe as far as Delhi is concerned, keeping an eye on the biggest story that we are tracking.
उनका ये कहना है कि डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी रात में आते थे और सुबह सुबह फिर निकल जाते थे और इस कार का इस्तेमाल वो आने जाने में कर रहे थे। और जब हालांकि इस इलाके के लोगों को कहना है कि 3-4 महीने से इस घर में ताला बंद है, लेकिन इस कार को देखकर ऐसा नहीं लगता कि इसको काफी दिनों से इस्तेमाल ना किया गया हो। ऐसा देख के लग रहा है कि हाँ, इसका इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। और इसके ऊपर इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का ये गेट पास भी लगा हुआ है, जिससे ये बात साफ हो जाती है कि डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी से एसोसिएटेड हैं। ये भी जानकारी मिल रही है कि यहाँ से छापेमारी के बाद जो एटीएस और जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की टीम है वो इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए निकल गई है। ये बात भी सामने आई है कि जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और यूपी एटीएस की एक टीम राजधानी लखनऊ के खंडारी बाजार इलाके में गई है। ये बताया जा रहा है कि खंडारी बाजार इलाके के ही मूल रूप से रहने वाली है डॉक्टर शाहीन शाहिद, जिसको गिरफ्तार किया गया है। पर कितने बजे यहाँ पर पुलिस की टीम आई होगी?
8:30 का हमने अलार्म लगाया तो उठने के लिए, क्योंकि कॉलेज जाना रहता है। उसी के बाद हम लोग दूध लेके आए अंदर, उसी के बाद गाड़ी की आवाज आई थी। फिर आके बाहर देखा तो बहुत ज्यादा फोर्स थी। हम समझे कि प्रधान जी हैं यहाँ पे, तो क्या पता उनसे मिलने उलने के लिए कोई आया होगा, ऐसा देखा। फिर हम लोग चले गए अंदर।
तो डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी यहाँ कब से रह रहे हैं, कुछ आपको?
ये सब मुझे नहीं पता, क्योंकि मैं खुद 2-3 महीने से इधर रह रहा हूँ बस।
तो क्या 3-4 महीने से मकान खाली पड़ा था?
नहीं, वो आते जाते थे, तो वो अब उनका जो रूटीन है उसके हिसाब से हम लोग कभी बाहर निकले तो दिख गए। ऐसा नहीं है कि वो खाना खा के टहलने के लिए आते हैं, कुछ भी नहीं। बस वो नमाज पढ़ने जाते थे, वो कभी दिख गए। फिर जब आते थे कभी गाड़ी खड़ी करके अंदर चले गए। ऐसा हम लोग कभी यहाँ पे बाहर घूमते भी नहीं। या तो बाहर कहीं और चले जाते हैं या तो रूम में रहते हैं।
डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी की क्या परिवार यहाँ साथ में रहता था?
नहीं, सिंगल पर्सन, वो अकेले रहते थे इधर।
अकेले? क्या क्या उम्र होगी कुछ?
एज मेरे ख्याल से उनकी तो 35 के आसपास शायद एज लग रही थी, अब ऐसे नहीं बता सकता।
Now, how did this entire terror module get busted? Well, the first arrest was made in Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Adil Ahmed was the first one who was apprehended. He was caught putting JEM posters in Jammu and Kashmir. He was supporting the terror outfit of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Investigators arrested him. They not only arrested him but also made several recoveries from him. Explosives were seized, over 250 kilograms of that. A rifle was also seized from him during that arrest. Soon after, another suspect was arrested. That was Dr. Muzammil Ahmed. He was arrested from Faridabad in Haryana, where the officials reported the recovery of a rifle and nearly 2,800 kilograms of explosive materials from his possession. He is said to be employed at the Al-Falah University. The investigation has also led to the arrest of Dr. Shaheen Shahid, who was arrested late last evening. This arrest happened from Lucknow. She was also a part of the Al-Falah University. She is implicated for allegedly ferrying weapons for Dr. Muzammil. She was also reportedly associated with the same university network. The fourth doctor, the fourth individual who has now been arrested and the entire nexus is being investigated is that of Dr. Umar Nabi. He is suspected to be the suicide bomber who was driving the I-20 vehicle yesterday at the time of the blast. He was also employed with the Al-Falah University. That's perhaps where all four of them met. That further deepens the role of the university to this module as well. And if at all there are any more employees or administrators or doctors that are associated with this university that could also be involved in this plot, that is something that is now under investigation. We have some information that's now trickling in via sources. President of India, Draupadi Murmu, has spoken with Union Home Minister Amit Shah over the phone. She's spoken with him from Angola, is what we're given to understand. She has apprised herself of the blast and the aftermath of it. She asked about what exactly transpired last evening near Red Fort in Delhi and where the investigation stands at the moment. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, remember, was at the blast site late last evening. He visited the victims of the blast at the LNJP hospital as well. He has been holding several review meetings since this morning. The second one is underway currently. Is what we're learning, but at such a time, the President of India, who's not in the country, Draupadi Murmu, has taken stock of what exactly has transpired. She has dialed Union Home Minister Amit Shah from Angola to try and get details of what exactly transpired, who's responsible and what the strategy of the country is going to be. Arunima, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more details on this. Arunima, we're given to understand that the Union Home Minister has now apprised the President as well?
Yes, so that is what sources are telling us, that the President, who's on a visit to Angola, she spoke to the Union Home Minister after the blast at Delhi's Red Fort, and the Home Minister apprised her about the situation, the number of casualties, people who are injured, how critical they are, and how India is responding to this latest crisis in terms of investigation and what are the leads that are available. So all of this information was shared by the Home Minister. President was assured that government of the day is taking all steps that are required to make the citizens of this country feel.
Right, Arunima, that review meeting of the Union Home Minister, is that still underway? Do we have any details of what's exactly transpiring there?
Yes, the meeting is on as I'm speaking to you at the Kartavya Bhavan. Home Minister is taking that review meeting. The Union Home Secretary, the Director of Intelligence Bureau, the senior officials from the NIA, including the Director General, Commissioner of Police, they're all present at that meeting. There were specific instructions that were given by the Home Minister when he took the first security review at 11 a.m. So this is the second meeting, and in between the two, a decision has already been implemented to ask NIA to take over the probe. So the NIA DG's presence here is also important. There are specific leads that are available with Uttar Pradesh ATS, with the Faridabad police as well as Jammu and Kashmir police. So all of them are sharing with the Home Minister and with the NIA what their suspicion is about this module and how they feel this can be taken forward.
Right, Arunima, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. In fact, the investigation is only widening now. We are getting more details as far as the Al Falah University network is concerned. We're learning now that several students and the dean of the department has now been questioned by the police and several agencies that are now leading a coordinated effort to probe the matter. More than 52 people have been questioned so far is what we're learning, out of which 6 have been taken into custody. Anshul, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more details on this. We'll try and get you a sense of how deep really this rot runs inside the Al Falah University in Haryana. This is the Faridabad terror module that was busted yesterday. Several arrests have been made from Faridabad, from Uttar Pradesh as well. Now we're learning that several students and the dean of this particular university is also under the radar and has been questioned by agencies. The Al Falah University seems to be at the center of this entire conspiracy. All of the 4 doctors that have been accused of orchestrating this attack were linked to the Al Falah University, which is why the dean of the university is now under questioning. He is under the radar of the agencies that are looking at this terror attack. It is a coordinated effort that is being mounted by the police, by the NIA now as well. Anshul now joins us, getting us more details as well. Anshul, what more can you tell us about the investigation that's currently underway at the Al Falah University?
Well, since this morning, there are several teams of the Faridabad police that have already gone inside the Al Falah University and are trying to carry out a detailed interrogation as to who are the people who were close to the accused who have now been arrested, both the accused who have been arrested and the other accused who was actually, who could have been the person who was driving that vehicle. Till now, more than 52 people have already been questioned by the Faridabad police. Out of this, 6 people who were looking a bit suspicious, who were looking, who were working very closely with the 2 doctors, Dr. Shahina and Dr. Muzammil. They have been taken into custody, and further interrogation and further questioning is happening with them. Remember, CNN News 18 broke this afternoon that there is an HR who is under the suspicion at this point in time, because since the last few years that he has been working over here, the number of Kashmiris that have been enrolled into this university, either in form of students or in form of lecturers or educators, that number has increased significantly. So now the Faridabad police is trying to find out if at all the administration or the said HR was also a part of this nexus where he was picking and choosing people from Kashmir and then were bringing them over here at Faridabad at the Al Falah University, and then further operations were being conducted. Remember, Dr. Muzammil, who has been arrested from over here with more than 350 kgs of explosive materials, he has been working at the Al Falah University for the last 3 years.
3 years. The other accused who was driving the car, Umar Muhammad, he has been working in this institute for the last 7 years. And Shahina, who has also been arrested by the JKB police, was working over here for the last 2.5 years. And what sources have told to CNN News 18 is that this woman was working very closely with Jaish Mohammed, and in fact was a part of the women's wing of Jaish Mohammed, and was given the specific task to go ahead and indoctrinate other people, other women to be a part of the organization, so that this entire white collar terrorism could go on under the behind the curtains. But the manner in which these exposes have happened, all their plans have failed. But to the bad luck, probably to the bad luck of the agencies, there was this one person, Dr. Umar, whom the police was searching for since the time the first arrest of Muzammil and Dr. Adil had happened. Since then, this person Umar was being searched, and finally, what sources are telling us that the person who could have been driving that I-20 vehicle could have been Umar himself, who was working over here at the Al Falah University for the last more than 7 years.
Right, Anshul, do stay on with us. We have more information that's now trickling in. Even as the probe is intensifying, world leaders, nations are condemning this dastardly attack that we saw in Delhi. Afghanistan is the latest one to come out and condemn the terror attack near Red Fort in Delhi. A statement has now been issued on behalf of Afghan administration that condemns this terror attack in Delhi, condoles the loss of lives as well. 8 people, remember, were killed in this blast yesterday. Siddhant now joins us, getting us more details. Siddhant, Afghanistan too joining the long list of countries that have sent their condolences.
Well, that's right. In fact, there's a statement which has come from the spokesperson of the Afghan government, and in fact, Afghanistan has condemned the explosion that occurred in the Red Fort area of New Delhi, claiming several lives. In fact, MOFA expresses its deep sorrow to the bereaved families as well as the government and people of India and wishes speedy recovery for the wounded. Now, since the blast, there has been support, condolences pouring in. First, it started from the embassy, ambassadors, high commissioners here in New Delhi. Now, in fact, the foreign offices, the foreign ministries of these countries have started sending condolence messages. And in fact, before this, it was Israel which has extended support to India and perhaps did mention that Israel condemns all acts of terror in the message. And now we have this statement coming from the spokesperson of the foreign ministry of the Afghan government condemning the explosion that occurred in the Red Fort area of New Delhi. And in fact, MOFA also expresses deep sorrow to the families as well as to the government and people of India. Perhaps given the renewed ties between India and Afghanistan, the recent visit of the foreign minister Amir Khan Mustaqi, and also the kind of support, the political support India offered to Afghanistan during the conflict with Pakistan, perhaps given that in that context, this particular statement coming from the spokesperson is very, very significant.
Right, Siddhant, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. We will continue our coverage here, trying to piece together this entire conspiracy and who the perpetrators were behind the blast in Delhi yesterday that claimed 8 lives. But it is a wrap from my side here on this edition. But don't go anywhere. Our coverage here will continue.
Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us these details that Intel sources have said that there could be a possible use of an IED device, and they are looking at this incident at the Red Fort as a terror attack.
Vehicle is from the Shambura village in Pulwama, and guess where the Pulwama connection takes us? The Pulwama connection takes us back to the ongoing investigation and the crackdown on this entire module, and the originator and the mastermind and the first arrest also happened, and there is a Pulwama connection to this and a Jammu and Kashmir connection. Muzammil, his accomplices, the other doctors, the person in Faridabad, the Maulvi there from whom the house was rented, this guy who buys the car, and the other occupants of the car, were they all connected and were they all linked? That's going to be the biggest question mark right now.
Co-powered by. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
On the cleric whose link has now emerged to all of these doctors and those moving from Jammu and Kashmir to Al-Falah University. This is a big CNN News 18 exclusive. We are decoding this man who is becoming an important figure behind this attack, Maulvi Irfan, who seems to have played a crucial role in radicalizing these medical doctors and students. He was a paramedic in exactly this college that we were talking about, in the government medical college in Srinagar, and was in touch with all students where they all studied. Later, he was an imam in Nagaon Mosque. Remember, Nagaon is also the area where those posters.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
On the cleric whose link has now emerged to all of these doctors and those moving from Jammu and Kashmir to Al-Falah University. This is a big CNN News 18 exclusive. We are decoding this man who is becoming an important figure behind this attack, Maulvi Irfan, who seems to have played a crucial role in radicalizing these medical doctors and students. He was a paramedic in exactly this college that we were talking about, in the government medical college in Srinagar, and was in touch with all students where they all studied. Later he was an imam in Nagaon Mosque. Remember, Nagaon is also the area where those posters emerged first. So it's all really a web of link between all of these individuals and these places. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Anand, who continues to be with us. Anand.
Well, this was the question, isn't it? Who was the person and how did these educated individuals get radicalized? That question is being answered by this fact that it is Maulvi Irfan who's the link towards radicalizing all these individuals. And how? Who named Maulvi Irfan? Arif Nisar Dar, Yasirul Ashraf and Maqsood Ahmad Dar. All three of them residents of Nogam, the OGWs who are putting these posters of the Jaish. Now, why is it, how is it that they knew Maulvi Irfan? Because he is the Maulvi of the Nogam Mosque. But where was he before he became a Maulvi of this Nogam Mosque? Irfan was a paramedic teacher. He was teaching them at the paramedic college of GMC. He was a paramedical at GMC Srinagar, Government Medical College Srinagar, where he came into contact with these people, Adil, Muzammil, Shaheen and Umar, because they were all students under him. So before he moved to the Nogam Mosque as a Maulvi, he was there, and that's when he came into contact with these students, with whom he continued to stay in touch via platforms like Telegram and Threema, encrypted platforms, and he was the Jaish recruiter and radicalizer. He was the one who the Jaish had recruited to try and seed these, sow these seeds of radicalization among educated minds and slowly convert them. What was he doing? Manoj Gupta getting us these details. He was in touch via VoIP or Voice over Internet Protocol. Again, encrypted platform, difficult to detect, with entities who are based in Afghanistan in Nangarhar. Nangarhar is the alternative base outside of Pakistan, training facility of the Jaish. And that's where his handlers were, and he was feeding them, again, vitriolic info, radicalizing videos, and also wartime Afghan videos which urge these men and these people to fight. Maulvi Irfan is the brains behind and the mastermind. Muzammil and Adil were the executors, whereas Shahina was the facilitator. She was the one who was supposed to collect funds. She was the benign, soft face who would perhaps get people to support them for their cause and collect funds. About 35 to 40 lakhs they had collected. But Irfan was the one who was supposed to have radicalized all these individuals, and they all received ideological
you for
guidance.
a brief minute, because we have the first pictures of those two doctors who have been arrested with 2,900 kilograms of explosives, timers and other material. The plot that they were making could have completely destabilized India and its major cities. This is Dr. Adil and Dr. Muzammil, who have been caught under the Al-Falah model. They both worked as doctors at the Al-Falah University. They all have links to this Maulvi that Anand was also describing, and possible links to Dr. Umar, who was the suspected man who was driving the car that was involved in the blast last evening, and Dr. Shaheen, that female doctor who has also been arrested. We have more on that female doctor also that is coming in. In fact, we can play that now, because Dr. Shaheen's first images have also been accessed. This is the Lucknow-based doctor who was arrested for the alleged involvement in this terror module, which is now spanning 3 states at least: Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and UP. Saharanpur, Faridabad, Pulwama, Nagaon and Anantnag, Srinagar, all of these cities that are being mapped as far as this entire plot is concerned. One blast has been executed, but what we know from the agencies, of course, or from the findings and the discoveries, is that plan was much larger. Much larger, possibly multiple attacks and multiple blasts were being planned. They're all doctors by profession. This is what has shocked many. It's not entirely surprising. Not the first time a doctor or an engineer has been found to be involved in a terror plot or terror attack, but it has still shocked many, because this shows that radicalization has nothing to do with your background, with your opportunities, with your financial status or your educational status. Yes, and I'm coming back to you. First images accessed by CNN News 18 of those 3 doctors who are at the heart of those massive discoveries made by the police. and others.
But they have been radicalized since the time they were students. To complete your MBBS and to become doctors, it takes 4 to 5 years, and then for the last 3-4 years they've been also in practice. But all through, they have been in touch with Maulvi Irfan. And Irfan was a teacher, he was a paramedical at GMC, and where all of them were students. There is Umar Nabi, or Dr. Umar Nabi, who's the fourth in this, who's also involved, and they were all at the same place. And then Irfan, from being a paramedical, becomes a Maulvi and moves to the Nogam Mosque, from where the OGWs are pasting posters. So he is actually, over the years, busy sowing seeds of radicalization.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
On the cleric whose link has now emerged to all of these doctors and those moving from Jammu and Kashmir to Al-Falah University. This is a big CNN News 18 exclusive. We are decoding this man who is becoming an important figure behind this attack, Maulvi Irfan, who seems to have played a crucial role in radicalizing these medical doctors.
The last owner of this used vehicle is from the Shambura village in Pulwama, and guess where the Pulwama connection takes us?
These people are executioners, facilitators, planners, etc. But the mastermind is Maulvi Irfan, who has instigated them.
It's a joint link between Jaish and ISIS are coming and clubbing together for something like what happened in Delhi yesterday.
Targeting women who are professionals, who are highly educated, has been a modus operandi that terror groups have been following some time now.
How suspected to
Very good afternoon. You're watching CNN News 18. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. We continue to bring you all the live and latest updates on the Delhi car blast that shook the entire nation yesterday. But before that, we bring you the headlines. We're tracking this up. Prime Minister Narendra Modi makes a statement of intent from Bhutan, says agencies will go to the root of conspiracy, vows to not spare the perpetrators. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has chaired round 2 of a high-level security review meeting at his residence. The National Investigation Agency has taken over the Delhi terror blast investigation. The I-20 used in the Delhi blast was illegally registered under Dr. Omar Nabi's name. Omar's kin now detained for questioning by police in Pulwama. More proof emerges of the Faridabad link. CNN News 18 accesses CCTV footage of the I-20 car from October 29 in Faridabad. Blast car seen undergoing pollution check. Dr. Shaheen Shahid on radar of probe agency. Sources say she funded the attack. Link to Al-Falah network under lens. From Rauf Asgar's threat warning attacks in India to anti-India posters in Kashmir, Jaish link to Delhi terror blast under investigation as well. Israel and Afghanistan condemn Delhi terror blast, stand with India in fight against terrorism. It's a high-stakes battle as final phase of polling gets underway in Bihar. Stand by for the biggest exit poll coverage on CNN News 18. The Supreme Court is seeking ECI's response on pleas against voter roll revision terms issue, one of rectification and non-violation.
आज करीब 6:52 पे एक स्लो मूविंग व्हीकल जो रेड लाइट की तरफ आके रुका था, उसमें एक ये एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है।
बहुत बड़ा ब्लास्ट हुआ, वहाँ तक सीने पे धड़कन की आवाज़ गई।
A high-intensity explosion occurred in a slow-moving Hyundai i20 car at a traffic signal near the Red Fort metro station around 6:52 p.m. on Monday evening. The Delhi Police, National Investigation Agency and National Security Guard are coordinating the entire probe as we speak. Investigators have established a direct link to a terror module recently busted in Faridabad, Haryana, where nearly 2,900 kilograms of explosives, including ammonium nitrate, were seized just hours before the Delhi blast. The seized material and the material used in the Delhi blast are suspected to be the same. Meanwhile, the Delhi police have registered an FIR and invoked UAPA in this case. The Union Home Minister is already chairing a second review meet shortly, and CNN News 18's Anand Narasimhan breaks down this entire terror trail as has been accessed by CNN News 18. Listen in.
CNN News 18 is going to try and piece together the entire trail of dominoes which allowed the security forces to try and unravel and unveil this entire trail of a terror plot that has now come to the fore, viewers. This is critical to understand that the 10-11 attacks of Delhi were planned by a radical mullah who has been in the garb of an educator and also then a Maulvi, radicalizing young impressionable minds, and that too educated minds, to turn them into white-collar terrorists. And this is nothing but the instigations and the radical thought processes of the Jaish. Now let's understand how it happened. The trail of what investigators now call white-collar terror module, or the Pulwama module, began to unfold in mid-October, when around the 17th of October 2025 there were posters, a chain of events that would eventually lead to one of the biggest terror crackdowns of the year. It started in Naugam, where posters of Jaish's message, Jaish-e-Mohammed's message, were put out, and they appeared overnight. A chilling reminder of the terror outfit's continuing propaganda across the valley. Now, one of these posters, usually what happens is they stick the poster, take an image, and then they remove the poster to avoid censure or being caught. But one of these OGWs forgot to take off the posters, and the posters remain. It alerted the agencies. The agencies then, within days, 3 OGWs were linked to this terror network. They were arrested or detained in Jammu and Kashmir. Further interrogation hinted at a much larger network that is currently operating. By the end of October, the investigation scope widened. Authorities questioned Maulvi Irfan Ahmad, took him into custody. He now is the key radicalizer. He is the one who is brainwashing these youth, because he was, now we CNN News 18 realizes and understands that he was a paramedic at the Srinagar Medical College, where all these terrorists now were students. And from there, he's been in touch with them. He moved on to become the Maulvi at the Naugam Mosque, where these OGWs were also regularly going for prayers. He is the ideological link in this entire growing chain. In the first week of November, Zamir Ahangar was also brought in for questioning. The focus now shifting towards a network of educated operatives, individuals, sympathizers who are highly radicalized and being motivated by Maulvi Irfan. Then came the breakthrough. During interrogation, Dr. Adil Ahmad, already in custody from Saharanpur, revealed a deeper conspiracy, one that pointed investigators towards Faridabad. So how did Adil Ahmad come under the radar? Because of this entire poster incident from Naugam. They realized that this person is in Kazigand. He is also part of this network who is connected with Maulvi Irfan and Zamir Ahangar. Adil, during interrogation, talks about Faridabad, and days later the Faridabad model was busted. Jammu and Kashmir police coming in, working with the Haryana police, raids are conducted that leads to recovery of not just weapons but a massive quantity of explosive making material, including ammonium nitrate, nearly 3 tons of explosive making material, confirming fears of a coordinated terror plan and a series of terror attacks that were being planned. On 9th of November, the investigators seizing over 2,900 kilograms of explosive material in Faridabad from the Fatehpur Taga village. The first cache was caught from the Dhauj village, all around this Al-Falah University, where now the key accused, Dr. Umar Nabi, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Adil and Dr. Shaheen, all of them were operating or working in. Now, one of the largest seizures in recent history. The next morning, 2 more doctors, including Dr. Shaheen Shahid, were arrested. Both were linked to the Al-Falah University and now under intense scrutiny for the alleged infiltration by this entire module. The fourth suspect, Umar Nabi, believed to be the suicide operative, managed to evade capture and he was on the run. The authorities were closing in on him. That evening, on the evening of November 10th, a powerful blast near Delhi's Red Fort, leaving 8 people dead and several injured. Early forensic reports confirmed that the same I-20 which Dr. Nabi was using was used in the attack, and the trail went back to Pulwama. Aides and friends of Nabi by the name of Amir Rashid, Umar Rashid and Tariq, all of them involved in purchase or a dodgy purchase of this car, which was continuously being used by these individuals who continue to operate in Faridabad at the Al-Falah University. The I-20 car has been seen at multiple times in the run-up. They paid their challans, they did their PUC, but their registration certificate here at CNN News 18 was shown was fake. Now this entire terror trail has been pieced together. The originators or the ideological fountainhead is the Jaish, because Maulvi Irfan was in touch with the Jaish operating out of Nangarhar via Trima, Telegram and also VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. And he was using these platforms to also send radical material to these students who he had cultivated over the last many years. That's how this entire module now shaped, and we pieced it all together to bring to you the entire story. How a small investigation, a small piece of information stumbled upon on the 17th of October leads to the crackdown of one of the most elaborate white-collar terror modules in recent times.
Alright, getting in breaking inputs from Kashmir in the wake of the Red Fort terror attack and its links to Jammu and Kashmir terror cells, the LG Manoj Sinha has chaired a high-level security review meeting in Srinagar. That's a breaking input we're bringing to you. Remember, the entire country remains on high alert, but particularly there's focus on Delhi, of course Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, the neighbouring states and all the way to Jammu and Kashmir. Ishan Wani brings me those breaking inputs. He's joining us on the broadcast. Ishan, what are you learning in terms of the security alert that's been issued not just across the valley but also in Jammu? Remember, the Yatris are also very much there. There is Katra, which is serving as a base camp. So what is the agenda of the security review meeting?
Well, it's clear that the Lieutenant Governor since few years have given clear instructions that no one should be spared when it comes to dealing with such incidents and particularly the cases of terror. And he was immediately called, meeting was chaired by him with the top officials of J&K Police Security Establishment to give him a briefing about how the situation has been and what are the details so far that have been done, because they have been working hard to destroy the ecosystem, and that is something which has been on the priority of the administration to ensure that those who have been able to, who are responsible for orchestrating, funding and funneling any of these activities, that they should be taken to task and they should not be spared. And that's a whole government approach, and that's why Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha chaired a meeting today at Raj Bhavan to ensure that peace prevails and they're able to bring any such people who could be further out of this investigation for now to justice, and those who are responsible, a stringent action is taken against them. The clues and leads are there. The police is establishing them. He was also possibly briefed about how the situation is, what are the steps being taken in Jammu and Kashmir, because he is the head of J&K when it comes to security matters, and he heads the security apparatus of Jammu and Kashmir, and that's why his meeting with security officials becomes important. He has been trying to ensure that he gives clear and strict instruction to officials to deal with any such elements with an iron fist.
Stay with me here, Ishan. We have some more inputs to bring to our viewers. Important that we also highlight how the investigators were able to map the complete route of the Hyundai I-20 that was used in the Delhi blast. Reports have indicated that this has been a Fedayeen attack, but let's piece it together. Those critical moments from over 50 CCTV cameras across the capital that were pieced together by various agencies that worked overnight to scan through these CCTV footages. The suspect vehicle was first spotted on camera in Faridabad around 7:20 a.m. According to the timeline, the car entered Delhi around 8 a.m., crossing into the city, that too through the Badarpur border. Just 20 minutes later, the car is captured on CCTV yet again. It's captured on CCTV near the Kashmiri Gate. Later seen moving through Daryaganj and eventually reaching the Sunehri Masjid around 3:19 p.m. in the afternoon. The car was parked between 3:19 p.m. and it remained parked till 6:48 p.m. moments before the explosion. At 6:52 p.m. to be precise, the blast occurred near the Red Fort. Investigators are now reconstructing this entire route using the CCTV footages and technical data to determine who was behind the wheel and what transpired during those final minutes. Those are some key critical questions that remain unanswered. But remember, the agencies are all burning the midnight oil to find answers to those questions. On that note, bringing you some more breaking inputs. Uttar Pradesh ATS is in fact, along with Jammu and Kashmir Police and the Lucknow Police, conducting joint raids at several locations in Lucknow. As we've also highlighted to you, the neighbouring states to the national capital are on high alert. That includes not just Haryana, even Uttar Pradesh. And what we can tell you right now, several joint raids being conducted in locations in Lucknow. Now, these, what we are being told, are in coordination with the Uttar Pradesh Police ATS, Jammu and Kashmir Police and the Lucknow Police, all of them conducting those joint raids. This especially after Dr. Shaheen has been arrested from Lucknow. Reports are indicating that she could perhaps also be involved in the funding of this entire terror attack. Most importantly, the use of females in these terror modules is now becoming even more active, something that has been observed in the past as well, whether it's the PFI, whether it is the ISIS or the Al-Qaeda. Now, this kind of a transnational interstate terror module, hinting that this could have been a pan-India exercise. But as of now, what we can tell you is that the Uttar Pradesh Police, along with the ATS and the Jammu and Kashmir Police, are conducting joint raids at several locations in Lucknow. Anshul joins me live on the broadcast with more inputs. Anshul, if you could give us a sense of what is the agenda behind these raids, what locations have been zeroed in by the authorities?
Well, Dr. Shahina, who has been arrested by the Jammu Kashmir Police yesterday itself, in fact, she was being questioned by the JKP for the past many days. Remember, the assault rifle that was recovered was recovered from the vehicle of Dr. Shahina herself, the Swift vehicle, and along with that, magazines were also recovered. Now, yesterday, the Jammu Kashmir Police decided to go ahead and take her into custody and eventually arrest her. Post that, these SOPs are being followed, where the searches are being conducted at the places where Dr. Shahina used to stay or had any connections with. One of those places is this Al Fatah University, in which yet again there has been searches that has been going on since morning itself. And apart from that, her native place in Lucknow, her parents, her family, her friends, all of them are being questioned at this point in time to figure out if at all they knew that she was a part of this larger nexus that was propagating their thoughts over here, specifically in North India, and the manner in which they got in touch with these two other doctors from Jammu and Kashmir, who were yet again faculties over here in the same university. Now, what sources have confirmed to CNN News 18 is that Shahina was given a very specific task. She was a part of the Jaish-e-Mohammed women's module, and she was given this very specific task that she should not only help the others in transporting of these contrabands or assault weapons, but also she would help in going ahead and influencing more people, more women inside the university as well. And that is particularly the reason that both JKP Police, Faridabad Police and the central agencies have all zeroed down to this university over here, where they have already questioned more than 50 people from the university. 6 people have been taken into custody, where further questioning is happen over here in Faridabad.
Stay with me. Let's quickly, bring in more breaking inputs coming in from Lucknow itself. Staying with Lucknow, what we are learning, as Anshul was highlighting, that these joint raids are currently being conducted by the NIA, the ATS and the Jammu and Kashmir Police. All of them have arrived at the residence of Dr. Shaheen Shahid in connection with the Delhi car blast case. As we've been highlighting that Dr. Shaheen is going to play a very critical role in the overall investigation, not just because the role that women have been playing in these terror modules, but remember, as Anshul was highlighting, she's also suspected to have been playing a critical role in the transfer of this kind of weaponry, could perhaps also be involved with the funding. The questioning of Dr. Shaheen's father is also on. Let's quickly go across to Eshan Wani, who is joining me on the broadcast. He continues to stay with us. So let's talk about Dr. Shaheen first. Who is she? Why is her interrogation so critical at the moment as we speak? Ishan, remember, her father is already being interrogated, but much is being talked about the role that Dr. Shaheen has played in this entire car blast case.
Akanksha, if you recall, yesterday we were reporting from the vehicle which was recovered near that rented accommodation, and from where the weapon was recovered. It belongs to Shaheen, and she is the one on whose name that HR vehicle is registered. It's different from the one which carried out an attack, and that's where her first link emerged. And then later on, investigation found that they were close. She was very close with Muzammil, and from there the investigation picked up. She was detained later on and then arrested, questioned, and sources indicating that she could be the one who was also trying to fund, who was trying to gather funds, money, because police has said that they were trying to get money from professionals, academicians and others to say that they are crowdsourcing funds to help people to manage some houses, to ensure that they help poor people, but that money, according to police, was reaching to those hands who were giving them transportation, who were helping them logistically, providing and buying of IED material and buying of weapons, and that's what the money was used for.
Okay.
So the entire investigation, this clue is important, and that's why the NIA, JNK police and the ATS is at her residence.
Stay with me, Ishan and Anshul, because as you rightly highlighted, Dr. Shaheen's interrogation is going to prove very critical for this entire investigation. Perhaps also piece together the connect between the Jammu and Kashmir and the Delhi module. The crucial terror link is Dr. Shaheen at the moment, not only because she's a woman doctor from Lucknow, she's linked to the Al-Falah network as well. It's being suspected that perhaps the university and the lab in Al-Falah could have also been used to produce RDX. The link between Delhi and Kashmir module could only emerge after the entire interrogation of Dr. Shaheen. She made multiple visits to Kashmir, as something was being highlighted by Ishan also. She collected funds for the group, an AK rifle recovered from her car as well. She's used her profession to dodge scrutiny. That's a very critical point that we must take forward with Ishan and Anshul. So let's quickly go back to Ishan before I take that question with Anshul as well. So Ishan, if I could come back to you on the role of white-collar terrorism that we are looking at now, this kind of radicalization. Many are saying that terrorism has moved from the mountains to the mind. Is the Delhi car blast bearing testament to this kind of white-collar terrorism?
Well, yes, this is not new. These outfits have been trying to ensure that they take the cream out of the society, and those who are professional, young minds, who they can dilute and then take on quote-unquote what they call mission to destabilize India. Because yesterday when you saw the press release come in, there were two important points that we have to learn from that. One was that there was a mention of ISIS, which is a different ideology, and then Jaish-e-Mohammed, which is a different ideology. Jaish is focused on Kashmir. They want Jammu and Kashmir to be separated from India, while the ISIS is about global jihad and spread of Islam across the globe, and they want to do it through the might of the force. So these two different ideologies who never fit in came together, and that's what the police press release said. But when we read it, as a journalist, you will get alerted that these two different outfits have come together. They might have had differences, but it seemed like to ensure that they get the best of the society and they're able to work in a very closely knitted atmosphere where the person who is not trustworthy is not taken inside, or a person who they believe can harm their cause, quote unquote cause. They will not never take them them inside that group. And that's why you see professionals, somebody who has had a track record of being a doctor. Some of them have had the best of medical records in terms of their education. Some of them have pursued well and performed well during their MBBS studies. But then you see that certainly radicalization, how their minds are changed, how their thinking is changed, and they're brought on a path where they're made enemy of their own country. So that is what is alarming and alerting, and one has to see that what happens in the next coming days, because that is something which is concerning for the officials in Jammu and Kashmir.
Absolutely. Let me quickly go back to Anshul. Anshul, taking that point forward as was being made by Ishan also over there. You're looking at, say, a time frame of less than a month, because remember, the posters first surfaced on October 19 in Nowshera, and by 10th of November, the blast had already taken place. Investigators are also of the view that this is the same kind of playbook now shaping up, like the way we've seen the ISI resort to attacks back in the 90s and the 2000s as well. Why should Indian agencies now be concerned, given that this perhaps could just be the beginning of a transnational terror module that investigating agencies are looking at?
Well, this is a massive wake-up call for the intelligence agencies and for all the agencies that are looking into this entire matter. There are some things that have been found different, which is not according to the experience specifically of Delhi police. First of all, the white-collar terrorism, the cream of the society, as Ishan was mentioning, that the cream of the society is being handpicked, and then they are being brainwashed to take up this fight for so-called jihad. Whereas the other point that should be noted is the kind of explosive that has been used. Generally, even IED or RDX that is used, there are splinters, there are wires that are placed in that explosive device, so that once it explodes, it could hurt more and more people. But this time around, instead of using that kind of bomb, a sophisticated technology was utilized in which.
अरे उनको गेट पे आ जाने दो, गेट पे आने दो,
गेट पे आने दो, गेट पे आने दो, गेट पे। अरे भैया गेट पे आने दो। अरे ऐसे नहीं हो पाएगी, ऐसे नहीं, अरे ऐसे नहीं हो पाएगी।
हमें जो कहना था सब बता दिया आप लोग को। एक आदमी
बातचीत हुई है, क्या बातचीत हुई है दादा?
हमारे घर की तलाशी हुई है बस, और कुछ नहीं।
घर की तलाशी में क्या क्या?
कुछ नहीं
नीचे करो,
कुछ नहीं मिला।
शाहिद जी, आपके कितने बच्चे हैं? सुनिए, कितने बच्चे हैं आपके?
आपके मीडिया वालों को हम सब बता चुके हैं।
अरे वो मीडिया गई,
वो मीडिया गई, उससे हम नहीं बताएंगे।
अभी क्या बात?
हम बार नहीं बताएंगे, नहीं बताएंगे। आप कोर्ट से ऑर्डर ले आइए तो भी नहीं बताएंगे।
क्या बात हुई है?
कुछ नहीं कहना है।
अभी क्या बात हुई?
हमें कुछ कहना ही नहीं है।
अभी आई थी जो टीम।
All right, so let's quickly go back to Anshul, who continues to stay with us. Those are, in fact, the press over there outside the residence of Dr. Shaheen Shahid's father. He's completely refused to speak to the press. He's saying that even if you come up with a court order, I will not share any details. The police were not able to find anything in my house. My house has no such arms and ammunition that they were looking for. Anshul continues to stay with us. Anshul, the interrogation of Dr. Shaheen's father has already happened. Doesn't seem that they've been able to find anything. But what does this speak? The way these white-collared, radicalized individuals have been operating in isolation, because remember, many families that Ishan also reached out to of these individuals who are allegedly involved, their family members were equally unaware.
Well, definitely, this is absolutely surprising to see, and as you rightly mentioned, that Ishan spoke to all those family members of those people who were stationed in Pahalgam, and they also said that they had no idea that something like this was happening, and this is becoming a massive challenge for the intelligence agencies as well, because remember, this is for the first time that white-collar terrorists have been seen on ground, have been seen trying to carry out such a massive operation, specifically out here in the national capital and the NCR region. Apart from that, it is also very pertinent to note that the kind of explosives that has been used, these are sophisticated explosives and not normal IEDs or RDX-laden bombs that are generally used by terrorists, because this time around the Carter that should have been found, that was not seen on ground. There should be sharp nails, there should be wires that should be in those IEDs. That was something that was not there. probably a small quantity of explosives were used, and the explosion was amplified, is what sources are telling us, is that the explosion was amplified by the specific use of a CNG tank that was behind the vehicle. The vehicle was selected specifically because of its CNG features, because of CNG the inflammable material increases. So the quantity of the bomb could be explosive materials that could have been used could have been lesser, but the explosive materials that were present inside the vehicle, such as the CNG tank, such as the fuel tank of the vehicle, these were something that were present over there, and that is probably the reason why the explosion happened on the rear end of the vehicle when the person was driving that vehicle alone, all by himself. So definitely there are a lot of new experiences for the agencies to learn from this, but definitely the manner in which this case has opened up, it is definitely a massive wake up call, because if at all that CCTV would not have come out where people were seen pasting those posters in Kashmir, then probably this entire nexus would not have come out, and probably a much larger attack could have happened on the soils of a country, or probably in the national capital itself.
Absolutely, and we still don't know how many more terror modules are thriving in the country. Remember, this could perhaps just be the beginning of unraveling of many of those terror modules. But News 18's Rishabh Mani spoke to one of the neighbors of Dr. Athar Parvez Ansar, as we've been talking about, whether it's the family members or even the neighbors, all of them seem to have been extremely ignorant of their activities, because it seems that this kind of radicalization has been happening in isolation. Listening to the kind of reactions that have come.
देखिए, मैं इस वक्त राजधानी लखनऊ के मड़ियाव इलाके के मुतक्कीपुर गांव में मौजूद हूं, और यहां पर जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और यूपी एटीएस की एक टीम ने सुबह 6 बजे छापेमारी की है। डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी का ये घर है जहां पर छापेमारी हुई है। डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी यहां की एक जो प्राइवेट मेडिकल यूनिवर्सिटी है, इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी से एसोसिएटेड हैं। ये चीज हालांकि कोई नहीं बता पा रहा कि वहां पर वो एक डॉक्टर के तौर पर काम करते हैं या वहां पर पढ़ाते हैं। डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी के इस घर का ताला तोड़ा गया है। ताला तोड़कर यूपी एटीएस और जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की टीमें अंदर दाखिल हुई हैं। उन्होंने अंदर सर्च किया है और उसके बाद ये पुलिस अपना ताला लगाकर यहां से गई है। आसपास के लोगों से हमने जो बातचीत की है, उनका ये कहना है कि डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी रात में आते थे और सुबह सुबह फिर निकल जाते थे, और इस कार का इस्तेमाल वो आने जाने में कर रहे थे। और जब हालांकि इस इलाके के लोगों को कहना है कि 3-4 महीने से इस घर में ताला बंद है, लेकिन इस कार को देखकर ऐसा नहीं लगता कि इसको काफी दिनों से इस्तेमाल ना किया गया हो। ऐसा देख के लग रहा है कि हाँ, इसका इस्तेमाल किया जाता है। और इसके ऊपर इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का ये गेट पास भी लगा हुआ है, जिससे बात साफ हो जाती है कि डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी से एसोसिएटेड हैं। ये भी जानकारी मिल रही है कि यहां से छापेमारी के बाद जो एटीएस और जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की टीम है, वो इंटीग्रल यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए निकल गई है। ये बात भी सामने आई है कि जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और यूपी एटीएस की एक टीम राजधानी लखनऊ के खंदारी बाजार इलाके में गई है। ये बताया जा रहा है कि खंदारी बाजार इलाके के ही मूल रूप से रहने वाली है डॉक्टर शाहीन शाहिद, जिसको गिरफ्तार किया गया है। पर कितने बजे यहाँ पर पुलिस की टीम आई होगी?
8:30 का हमने अलार्म लगाया तो उठने के लिए, क्योंकि कॉलेज जाना रहता है। उसी के बाद हम लोग दूध लेके आए अंदर, उसी के बाद गाड़ी की आवाज आई थी। फिर आके बाहर देखा तो बहुत ज्यादा फोर्स थी। हम समझे कि प्रधान जी हैं यहाँ पे, तो क्या पता उनसे मिलने।
सारी यहाँ कब से रह रहे हैं, कुछ आपको?
ये सब मुझे नहीं पता, क्योंकि मैं खुद 2-3 महीने से इधर रह रहा हूँ बस।
तो क्या 3-4 महीने से मकान खाली पड़ा था?
नहीं, वो आते जाते थे, तो वो अब उनका जो रूटीन है उसके हिसाब से हम लोग कभी बाहर निकले तो दिख गए। ऐसा नहीं है कि वो खाना खा के टहलने के लिए आते हैं, कुछ भी नहीं। बस वो नमाज पढ़ने जाते थे, वो कभी दिख गए, फिर जब आते थे कभी गाड़ी खड़ी करके अंदर चले गए। ऐसा हम लोग कभी यहाँ पे बाहर घूमते भी नहीं, या तो बाहर कहीं और चले जाते हैं या तो रूम में रहते हैं।
डॉक्टर परवेज अंसारी की क्या परिवार यहाँ साथ में रहता?
नहीं, सिंगल पर्सन, वो अकेले रहते थे इधर।
अकेले? क्या उम्र होगी कुछ?
एज मेरे ख्याल से उनकी तो 35 के आसपास शायद एज लग रही थी, अब ऐसे नहीं बता सकता।
Last owner of this used vehicle is from the Shambura village in Pulwama, and guess where the Pulwama connection takes us?
These people are executioners, facilitators, planners, etc. But the mastermind is Maulvi Irfan, who has instigated them.
It's a joint link between Jaish and ISIS are coming and clubbing together for something like what happened in Delhi yesterday.
Targeting women who are professionals, who are highly educated, has been a modus operandi that terror groups have been following some time now.
Co-powered by. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
On the cleric whose link has now emerged to all of these doctors and those moving from Jammu and Kashmir to Al-Falah University. This is a big CNN News 18 exclusive. We are decoding this man who is becoming an important figure behind this attack, Maulvi Irfan, who seems to have played a crucial role in radicalizing these medical doctors and students. He was a paramedic in exactly this college that we were talking about, in the government medical college in Srinagar, and was in touch with all students where they all studied. Later he was an imam in Nagaon Mosque. Remember, Nagaon is also the area where those posters emerged first. So it's all really a web of link between all of these individuals and these places. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Anand, who continues to be with us. Anand.
Well, this was the question, isn't it? Who was the person and how did these educated individuals get radicalized? That question is being answered by this fact that it is Maulvi Irfan who's the link towards radicalizing all these individuals. And how? Who named Maulvi Irfan? Arif Nisar Dar, Yasirul Ashraf and Maqsood Ahmad Dar. All three of them residents of Nogam, the OGWs who are putting these posters of the Jaish. Now, why is it, how is it that they knew Maulvi Irfan? Because he is the Maulvi of the Nogam Mosque. But where was he before he became a Maulvi of this Nogam Mosque? Irfan was a paramedic teacher. He was teaching them at the paramedic college of GMC. He was a paramedical at GMC Srinagar, Government Medical College Srinagar, where he came into contact with these people, Adil, Muzammil, Shaheen and Umar, because they were all students under him. So before he moved to the Nogam Mosque as a Maulvi, he was there, and that's when he came into contact with these students, with whom he continued to stay in touch via platforms like Telegram and Threema, encrypted platforms, and he was the Jaish recruiter and radicalizer. He was the one who the Jaish had recruited to try and seed these, sow these seeds of radicalization among educated minds and slowly convert them. What was he doing? Manoj Gupta getting us these details. He was in touch via VoIP or Voice over Internet Protocol. Again, encrypted platform, difficult to detect, with entities who are based in Afghanistan in Nangarhar. Nangarhar is the alternative base outside of Pakistan, training facility of the Jaish. And that's where his handlers were, and he was feeding them, again, vitriolic info, radicalizing videos, and also wartime Afghan videos which urge these men and these people to fight. Maulvi Irfan is the brains behind and the mastermind. Muzammil and Adil were the executors, whereas Shahina was the facilitator. She was the one who was supposed to collect funds. She was the benign, soft face who would perhaps get people to support them for their cause and collect funds. About 35 to 40 lakhs they had collected. But Irfan was the one who was supposed to have radicalized all these individuals, and they all received ideological guidance.
For a brief minute, because we have the first pictures of those two doctors who have been arrested with 2,900 kilograms of explosives, timers and other material. The plot that they were making could have completely destabilized India and its major cities. This is Dr. Adil and Dr. Muzammil, who have been caught under the Al-Falah model. They both worked as doctors at the Al-Falah University. They all have links to this Maulvi that Anand was also describing, and possible links to Dr. Umar, who was the suspected man who was driving the car that was involved in the blast last evening, and Dr. Shaheen, that female doctor
who has also been arrested. We have more on that female doctor also that is coming in. In fact, we can play that now because Dr. Shaheen's first images have also been accessed. This is the Lucknow-based doctor who was arrested for the alleged involvement in this terror module, which is now spanning 3 states at least: Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and UP. Saharanpur, Faridabad, Pulwama, Nagaum and Anantnag, Srinagar, all of these cities that are being mapped as far as this entire plot is concerned. One blast has been executed, but what we know from the agencies, of course, or from the findings and the discoveries, is that plan was much larger. Much larger, possibly multiple attacks and multiple blasts were being planned. They're all doctors by profession. This is what has shocked many. It's not entirely surprising. Not the first time a doctor or an engineer has been found to be involved in a terror plot or terror attack, but it has still shocked many because this shows that radicalization has nothing to do with your background, with your opportunities, with your financial status or your educational status. Yes, and in coming back to you, first images accessed by CNN News 18 of those 3 doctors who are at the heart of those massive discoveries made by the police and others.
But they have been radicalized since the time they were students. To complete your MBBS and to become doctors, it takes 4 to 5 years, and then for the last 3-4 years they've been also in practice, but all through they have been in touch with
Welcome back. The deadly Red Fort blast that shook Delhi and claimed at least 8 lives has now drawn the immediate attention of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh. Prime Minister Modi, while speaking from Bhutan, in fact even said that the conspirators behind the Red Fort were there and that India will not spare those. But we are getting in some breaking inputs at the moment. Another set of CCTV visuals of that I-20 car that was the car behind the car blast in Delhi has now finally surfaced. This CCTV footage is from the Badarpur toll plaza. Remember, it was at around 8:15 a.m. that this car entered Delhi from the Badarpur toll plaza. That very moment has been captured while this Hyundai I-20 was entering the national capital from that toll plaza at Badarpur. Those are the visuals on your screen. The suspect, Omar, is even seen in the CCTV visuals. Remember, these CCTV footages that CNN News 18 has been bringing to you have all been captured by various authorities, from the Delhi police to the NIA. All of them have been working together in tandem overnight, piecing together over 200 footages of these CCTV camera clips. The suspect, Omar, is wearing a mask, as you can see in that footage. The CCTV footage is from 8:13 a.m. to be precise, because remember, it was at 8:15 a.m. that this I-20 entered Delhi from Badarpur. This is when Omar was behind the wheel. He can be spotted in these CCTV visuals that we are bringing to you from the Badarpur toll plaza while entering Delhi from this toll plaza. Earlier, the suspect Omar's I-20 car passed in front of the Asian hospital. That is between 7 and 7:30 a.m. when the car was spotted in front of the Asian hospital in Faridabad at 7 a.m. This footage that we are bringing to you is from yesterday, 10th of November at 8:13 a.m. at the Badarpur toll plaza. Let's quickly go across to Anshul, who continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Anshul, a very important piece of CCTV footage being accessed by the authorities over there. This clearly is going to play a very pivotal and critical role in piecing together the entire modus operandi of yesterday's blast.
Well, definitely, this will clear out 2 things. The first thing is that the police will be able to find out from where were these explosives picked up, if at all these were picked up from the locations that were actually seized by the Haryana police and Jammu Kashmir police yesterday itself, or were there some other centers that were made to keep smaller quantities of explosives aside, because this is just one person who was at the run for the past at least a week and a half since the time this investigation was going on, and he had these explosives in his hand. Apart from that, what sources in the police have also told us that a detonator was also used. So from where were these materials sourced this entire route that is being charted out by the authorities at this point in time, this will clear this out, that from where these explosive materials and the detonators were picked up, and then eventually what routes were taken. As we have told our viewers that first the first spotting of the said vehicle happened inside Faridabad near Asian Hospital at 7:20 a.m. Then they cross the Badarpur border. Then they get into New Delhi and refuel their tanks from Okhla itself, and then take the outer ring road towards Kashmiri Gate, and then from Daryaganj side they reach towards the Suneri Masjid parking, where they parked the vehicle for 3 hours, waited for the crowd to gather over there so that more and more people could gather. And as soon as the peak hours of the national capital started, which is approximately between 6:45 to at least 8 p.m. It is at that point that at 6:55 they went. He went ahead.
It also the entire piecing together of these CCTV footages is raising some very critical unanswered questions at the moment. What was Omar doing for these 3 hours between say 3 p.m. and that 6:48 p.m. when the car was eventually detonated? A, B, how could he escape so many security checks? Were there security checks at all? You're looking at at a toll plaza. You're looking at say a critical area like the Red Fort, where we've seen there's heavy police barricading, and yet he managed to escape.
Well, if you look at the modus operandi that has been applied, this is unlike any other blast in which huge amounts of explosive materials are used. In this particular case, apart from the material that was used to make sure that the explosion is of a large intensity, a CNG vehicle was utilized. The petrol tanks were absolutely full, which meant that whenever a blast happened, specifically in the rear end of the vehicle, this will have a massive impact, because flammable material, apart from the explosive material that is inside the vehicle, that will have an impact on having a larger explosion. So this is a new kind of modus operandi that has been utilized this time around, and that is the reason why that they were able to escape through all these CCTV footages, all these CCTVs, and then also park themselves inside a parking at the Suneri Masjid, and that is a fresh challenge for the authorities at this point in time to somewhere or the other work intelligently and make sure that such terrorists are not allowed to gather such huge amount of explosive materials.
Even though Omar Nabi is being treated as the suspected Fidain killer over here in this entire blast case, but the ownership of the I-20 is also come to the forefront. Why so?
Well, if you look at this vehicle is very suspicious in itself, and this is also a part of their planning, that the vehicle that they will utilize, that the authorities should not be able to reach the owner very easily. The first owner was Salman. He sold it to another person in Gurugram, and then that person sold it to a third person in Faridabad, and then eventually this was taken by Amir himself on the name of Tariq, who is known to him and is a part of this entire nexus. So they were creating these webs to make sure that the authorities, even if they are able to find the vehicle, they are not able to reach the owners very easily. Another thing that is very pertinent to note, that the documents were all legitimate. We have seen those CCTV footages where the pollution of the vehicle was being done. The vehicle had a valid insurance just to make sure that no police officer actually stops them or frisks them if at all they do not have their valid papers. So all those papers were also made. So this entire plan was made in such a way that an unsuspicious vehicle, an I-20, which is a very common vehicle out here in the national capital and across the country as well, that vehicle was used. That vehicle had a CNG tank, which was also filled to the capacity, so that more flammable material should be present inside the vehicle. Once the explosion happened, all these things came together, and then eventually this massive blast happened, in which at least 6 to 7 vehicles got damaged and several people got injured and lost their lives.
Thanks to you, Anshul, for bringing us all those inputs. As and when more information keeps trickling in, we will keep coming back to you and Ishan. But important to highlight right now, just overnight, how the Faridabad module has been busted by all of these agencies, whether you're looking at the Jammu and Kashmir police all the way to the Haryana police or the Delhi police and the NIA. It all began began on 27th of October when posters supporting the JEM or Jaish-e-Mohammed surfaced in Srinagar. On 28th of October and up until 3rd of November, 3 overground terror workers were also arrested by the Jammu and Kashmir police. By then they had already swung into action and the entire investigation had started moving beyond Jammu and Kashmir. What happened between 3rd and 5th of November? The OGWs reveal a link to Maulvi Irfan. Remember, he's the kingpin. He's the man who radicalized the Kashmir doctors, 3 of them. And these were the doctors who orchestrated the entire plan. Between 3rd and 5th of November, the Jammu and Kashmir police nab Maulvi Irfan. It is during the interrogation when they are led all the way to Faridabad, even Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh. Between 3rd and 5th of November, Maulvi Irfan has revealed these leads of the 3 doctors involved in the Faridabad module, including Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, Dr. Shaheen. Remember, she is the lady doctor who has been arrested from Lucknow. Between 5th and 7th of November, again, joint teams nabbed Dr. Adil Ahmed from Saharanpur. Dr. Adil had fled from GMC Anantnag with an AK-56 rifle which was discovered in his locker as well. Between 6th and 8th of November, Maulvi Irfan reveals the role of his aide Zamir Angar, who leads the probe team to then Dr. Muzammil in Faridabad. Yesterday in the morning, the entire cache of close to 2,900 kilograms of bomb-making paraphernalia was recovered from 2 rooms in Faridabad. On 9th of November, these raids at Faridabad residence leads to this massive seizure of ammonium nitrate. Not just ammonium nitrate, timers, detonators, all of them recovered. 9th of November itself, the police teams nabbed Dr. Muzammil's friend, Dr. Shaheen, from Lucknow, an AK rifle found in her car linked to her. And on 10th of November, the cops begin searching for Dr. Muzammil's associate, Dr. Omar Nabi. He's the Fidai who was behind the wheel when the blast happened. The letter suspected to be the driver of the blast car in the Delhi. CCTV footages of him we have already shown you as far as the access is concerned from the toll plaza. Now, the deadly Red Fort blast that shook Delhi and claimed at least 8 lives has now, of course, drawn the immediate attention of Prime Minister Modi. Remember, he's in Bhutan. And the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has also reacted. Prime Minister Modi, while speaking from Bhutan, said the conspirators behind the Red Fort blast will not be spared, and assured that all those responsible will be brought to justice. He's expressed deep sorrow over the incident and said the entire nation stands with the victims, their families, adding that he had been in touch with investigative agencies throughout the night. The Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh echoed the Prime Minister, saying a swift and thorough inquiry under anti-terror laws is also underway while Delhi remains on high alert. Listen in to the reactions that have come in.
इस घटना की जांच में जुटी सभी एजेंसियों के साथ, सभी महत्वपूर्ण लोगों के साथ संपर्क में था, विचार विमर्श चलता था, जानकारियों के तार जोड़े जा रहे थे। हमारी एजेंसियां इस षड्यंत्र की तह तक जाएगी। इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Well, a warning very reminiscent of Prime Minister's message delivered in April during Operation Sindoor. It's an ominous warning. We'll have to see how the days go ahead now, with security authorities also now unraveling the entire terror module, a transnational one at that. That's all I have for you in this broadcast. Thank you so much for watching. News updates continue on CNN News 18.
Last owner of this used vehicle is from the Shambura village in Pulwama, and guess where the Pulwama connection takes us?
These people are executioners facilitators, planners, etc. But the mastermind is Maulvi Irfan, who has instigated them.
It's a joint link between Jaish and ISIS are coming and clubbing together for something like what happened in Delhi yesterday.
Targeting women who are professionals, who are highly educated, has been a modus operandi that terror groups have been following some time now.
Co-powered. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
On the cleric whose link has now emerged to all of these doctors and those moving from Jammu and Kashmir to Al Falah University. This is a big CNN News 18 exclusive. We are doing this man who's becoming an important figure behind this attack, Maulvi Irfan, who seems to have played a crucial role in radicalizing these medical doctors and students. He was a paramedic in exactly this college that we were talking about, in the government medical college in Srinagar, and was in touch with all students where they all studied. Later he was an imam in Nagaon Mosque. Remember, Nagaon is also the area where those posters emerged first. So it's all really a web of link between all of these individuals and these places. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Anand, who continues to be with us. Anand.
Well, this was the question, isn't it? Who was the person and how did these educated individuals get radicalized? That question is being answered by this fact that it is Maulvi Irfan who's the link towards radicalizing all these individuals. And how? Who named Maulvi Irfan? Arif Nisar Dar, Yasirul Ashraf and Maqsood Ahmad Dar. All three of them residents of Nogam, the OGWs who are putting these posters of the Jaish. Now, why is it, how is it that they knew Maulvi Irfan? Because he is the Maulvi of the Nogam Mosque. But where was he before he became a Maulvi of this Nogam Mosque? Irfan was a paramedic teacher. He was teaching them at the paramedic college of GMC. He was a paramedical at GMC Srinagar, Government Medical College Srinagar, where he came into contact with these people, Adil, Muzammil, Shaheen and Umar, because they were all students under him. So before he moved to the Nogam Mosque as a Maulvi, he was there, and that's when he came into contact with these students, with whom he continued to stay in touch via platforms like Telegram and Threema, encrypted platforms. And he was the Jaish recruiter and radicalizer. He was the one who the Jaish had recruited to try and seed these, sow these seeds of radicalization among educated minds and slowly convert them. What was he doing? Manoj Gupta getting us these details. He was in touch via VoIP or Voice over Internet Protocol. Again, encrypted platform, difficult to detect, with entities who are based in Afghanistan in Nangarhar. Nangarhar is the alternative base outside of Pakistan, training facility of the Jaish. And that's where his handlers were, and he was feeding them, again, vitriolic info, radicalizing videos, and also wartime Afghan videos which urge these men and these people to fight. Maulvi Irfan is the brains behind and the mastermind. Muzammil and Adil were the executors, whereas Shahina was the facilitator. She was the one who was supposed to collect funds. She was the benign, soft face who would perhaps get people to support them for their cause and collect funds. About 35 to 40 lakhs they had collected. But Irfan was the one who was supposed to have radicalized all these individuals, and they all received ideological
guidance. For a brief minute, because we have the first pictures of those two doctors who have been arrested with 2,900 kilograms of explosives, timers and other material. The plot that they were making could have completely destabilized India and its major cities. This is Dr. Adil and Dr. Muzammil, who have been caught under the Al Falah model. They both worked as doctors at the Al Falah University. They all have links to this Maulvi that Anand was also describing, and possible links to Dr. Umar, who was the suspected man who was driving the car that was involved in the blast last evening, and Dr. Shaheen, that female doctor who has also been arrested. We have more on that female doctor also that is coming in. In fact, we can play that now because Dr. Shaheen's first images have also been accessed. This is the Lucknow-based doctor who was arrested for the alleged involvement in this terror module, which is now spanning 3 states at least: Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and UP. Saharanpur, Faridabad, Pulwama, Nagaum, and Anantnag, Srinagar, all of these cities that are being mapped as far as this entire plot is concerned. One blast has been executed, but what we know from the agencies, of course, or from the findings and the discoveries, is that plan was much larger. Much larger, possibly multiple attacks and multiple blasts were being planned. They're all doctors by profession. This is what has shocked many. It's not entirely surprising. Not the first time a doctor or an engineer has been found to be involved in a terror plot or terror attack, but it has still shocked many because this shows that radicalization has nothing to do with your background, with your opportunities, with your financial status or your educational status. Yes, and I'm coming back to you. First images accessed by CNN News 18 of those 3 doctors who are at the heart of those massive discoveries made by the police and others.
But they have been radicalized since the time they were students to complete your MBBS and to become doctor.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with CNN News 18. I'm Shivani Gupta. I'm joining you from the site of the Delhi blast that took place evening yesterday. This is the first such blast that has been carried out in the national capital, and right in the heart of the national capital for the first time since 2011, and certainly this has brought back some ugly memories. But remember, there is a context within which we are talking about this Delhi blast, and that's the fact that there is a massive recovery of explosive material, cache of other ammunition, etc. that has been done just in the last few days. In fact, that news was breaking all over Indian media just yesterday before the blast took place in the evening. So what does that tell us? That and more is coming up with our set of reporters and guests over the next 1 hour. But first up, let's take a quick check of the headlines we're tracking. Prime Minister makes statement of intent from Bhutan, says agencies will go to the root of the conspiracy, vows to not spare the perpetrators. Home Minister Amit Shah chairs round 2 of a high-level security review meeting at his residence. NIA takes over the investigation into the Delhi blast. From suspected suicide bomber to financer of attacker, your terror doctors under radar of probe agencies. Staff of Al Falah University quizzed. More proof emerges of the Faridabad link. CNN News 18 accesses CCTV footage of the I-20 car from October 29 in Faridabad. Blast car seen undergoing pollution check. From Rauf Asgar's threat warning, attacks in India to anti-India posters in Kashmir. Jaish linked to Delhi terror blast under investigation. .4% voter turnout recorded till 3 p.m. in phase 2 of Bihar elections today. Final phase set to conclude shortly. And stand by for the biggest exit poll coverage, the most accurate numbers and fastest analysis only on CNN News 18.
आज करीब 6:52 पे एक स्लो मूविंग व्हीकल जो रेड लाइट की तरफ आके रुका था, उसमें एक ये एक्सप्लोजन हुआ है।
बहुत बड़ा ब्लास्ट हुआ, वहाँ तक सीने पे धड़कन की आवाज़ गई।
So So Delhi has become witness to yet another terror blast. It has claimed as many as 8 lives, but there could be more casualties as this progresses. But the focus now is on the investigation. Here on the site of the blast, right in front of Red Fort, you can see behind me, not only is there a lot of media around here, but that white tent that has been put up. Now that white tent has been put up to cordon off the area, which is the actual site of the blast. Yesterday evening we brought to you visuals of how blown away pieces, mangled pieces of the car in which the blast took place, and also the adjacent cars had blown away to as far as half a kilometer. In fact, right now we are standing roughly 200 meters away from that spot. This is right next to the Digambar temple on my right, and actually parts of human body that were blown away, bits of pieces were found as far back as where I am standing right now. This is the main thing about this blast. Exactly what was the nature of the blast is still to be ascertained officially, but Delhi police investigative agencies are all hard at work. NIA has now officially taken over this investigation. Was this connected to the Faridabad Al Fateh University model, where as many as 4 doctors have been caught as part of a conspiracy to carry out possibly serial blasts, not just in the national capital but across the country? As much as 3 tons of explosive material was seized from them. These include Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil, and even Dr. Shaheen, a female doctor. So is there a link that has now been established? For more on this, I want to quickly go across to my colleague Anvit, who is with me here at the spot. He's been at the spot since morning. Anvit, can we say safely that there is a connection with the Faridabad model?
See, at least the police are probing that right now, and because it just happened hours after 3 tons of explosive were recovered, and it is also being said by the investigators that one of the persons who had escaped the arrest from the module, he could have probably Umar Nabi, who was actually suspected to have been driving the vehicle and whose mother's sample have also been taken to confirm that he is the person who was driving the vehicle. He had stopped actually on that red light when the explosion took off, and the intensity of explosion was such, Vani, that we are standing ahead of the barricade. And a short while ago, when NIA had taken over the case, NIA teams crossed the barricades to check the entire vicinity, the radius of at least 500 meters, and collected samples even from where we are standing. There were pieces of human body remains, there were pieces of metals and tangled bodies of metals of vehicles that were damaged. At least 7 to 8 vehicles were completely damaged. So that was the intensity. So it is being said that possibly because of the 3 tons of explosives like material and ammonium nitrate that had been recovered, it could be a part of that. It is also being suspected as a Fedayeen attack because that person was there, but it is not known because he died. Whether his intent was to explode at Red Fort or whether he was taking a vehicle to another sensitive location where he could have exploded it. So those things remain under investigation, but currently because the large amount of explosive was recovered, so it is suspected that the explosive that has gone off could be a part of what already has been recovered.
But it was nitrate, ammonium nitrate.
Ammonium nitrate traces have been recovered abundantly from this area. It is also suspected there could be a larger amount of explosive, possibly RDS. However, there is no official word on it yet.
Okay. Anvit, I'm going to come back to you. I'm also joined by our reporters from across the country. Srinagar, Ishan is joining us from Srinagar. I have Ananya and also my colleague Anshul in Faridabad. But before that, let's go across to the latest reaction that is coming in from the Home Minister right now. Remember, the Home Minister has finished his second round of meetings a short while ago, and he has put out a tweet warning perpetrators. It reads, and I quote, chaired review meetings on the Delhi car blast with senior officials, instructed them to hunt down each and every culprit behind this incident. Everyone involved in this act will face the full wrath of our agencies. So that's the message that is coming in as far as the Home Minister is concerned. Remember, the Prime Minister will also take stock of the situation right after he arrives back in India. He's on an official trip to Bhutan. But the Prime Minister has also issued a warning earlier in the day, meant not just for domestic audiences here in India, but also for global audiences. That one line in English that he said, that the perpetrators will not be spared. So that continues to be our top focus. Exactly what is the line of investigation the agencies will be taking, but also importantly whether the officials will tell us officially that there is a connection with the Al-Falah University model that everyone has been talking about. Could it be a mere coincidence, or could it be a panic attack that has been triggered by Dr. Umar Nabi that my colleague Anvit was also talking about as far as this attack is concerned? In fact, Anvit continues to be with me. I also have, as I said, Ishan, my colleague Ananya and Anshul. But very quickly before I go to others, Anvit, was this a planned attack because of the fact that others were caught, if Dr. Umar Nabi was indeed part of the module, or do you think this was an not an attack that was meant to be carried out? It was being transported, the material was being transported somewhere else, but it invariably went off.
See, that still remains to be investigated, but because the kind of module that has been busted and the amount of explosives that have been recovered, it certainly speaks volume of something sinister was under planning. So much of explosive and ammonium nitrate within the vicinity of Delhi NCR, and then having connections to Kashmir, and then at least 8 to 9 people have been arrested from there, as have been made from Saharanpur and Lucknow as well, and all these people connect to Al-Falah University, from where these doctors were training, and from where explosive also been recovered, and an assault rifle was also recovered. So this certainly speaks volumes and indicates that something sinister was under planning. And it is also being said by the investigators that the man Umar Nabi had stayed inside the car, he did not step out. So this is a possibility that this could be a Fidain attack.
He was a suicide bomber.
It could be, very well, because he has died, so it is not known whether he was transporting it to some other place,
Or
because
was
the
he
explosion has
intended to
taken
be-
place on a red light.
Yeah.
So this is unlikely that someone would park the vehicle on a red light and explode it. However, he could have seen that there is enough people around and he could cause enough
Could have
damage.
done it.
So that could possibly be.
This could be a panic triggering of an attack, given that the rest of the culprits were being booked and arrested by the police. In fact, speaking of those other accused, I want to go across to my colleague Anshul first up, because he's been tracking the developments in Faridabad. Anshul, just give me an idea of what are the arrests that have been linked to Al-Falah University. There's Dr. Adil, Dr. Muzammil and Dr. Shaheen. Apart from that, who else is the lens pointing to?
Well, at least 6 other people of the university where the lens is pointing to at this point in time. 6 people from the university have been picked up for the purposes of questioning. None of them has been arrested at this point. But what sources have told us, and we can confirm it as well, that there is an HR who goes by the name Jameel inside the university, and this HR was specifically bringing in people from Kashmir. In fact, he was the common link between all these 3 people who have been arrested from the Al-Falah University. All these 3 doctors were staying inside the university itself, and the explosive materials that have been recovered have all been recovered within a 5 kilometers radius of this university itself. So somewhere or the other, this university has played a very, very pivotal role. 6 people have now been taken into custody for the purposes of interrogation. These people were working very closely with Muzammil specifically, and that is the reason why they have now been taken into custody. But the larger question, or the larger search that still remains, is of Dr. Umar. Even though it is being suspected, it is being believed as well that Umar was the person who was driving that vehicle. The facial recognitions and other things are being done at this point in time. But until and unless the DNA samples come back after being matched, then it would be abundantly clear if at all it was Umar who was driving that vehicle. And if that is true, then this entire nexus of Faridabad, this entire module of Faridabad will have direct connections with the blast in the national capital. At this point in time, those investigations are still going forward. A lot of samples needs to be tested. A lot of results needs to come back, and that will take some time naturally. So it remains to be seen once the agencies come on record. And
so, Anshul, we are getting some more updates that you are sending us as far as the suspected suicide bomber is concerned. This man, Dr. Umar Nabi, his role is being investigated, but we are learning that he stayed inside the vehicle throughout. He entered the parking very close to this area where we are standing at Suneri Mosque area at 3:19 p.m. yesterday, and patiently waited till 6:48. So the information that we're getting, that Anshul is bringing us, is that he did not step out of the car. That does seem suspicious. He did not leave the car even once, and the Delhi police has found this out by going through the CCTV of this parking area. So Anshul, certainly the activities of Umar, the suspected bomber, seems to be very suspicious.
Well, definitely, and that is probably one of the reasons why an area like Red Fort was selected. He stayed inside the vehicle for 3 hours. Definitely, it was not like that he was transporting the material, and it is not seeming like that he was transporting that material and suddenly this blast went off. He very consciously stayed inside the vehicle for more than 3 hours, and then eventually when he saw that the sun has set, people are on the streets, the peak hours of the national capital have started, the entire area of in front of the Red Fort will be flocked by people. It is at that point that he goes towards the next red light, slows down his vehicle, and then eventually this blast happens. Remember, very interestingly, a CNG vehicle was bought for this specific purpose as well, that if an attack needs to be done, then it should be done in a CNG vehicle, because this is a new kind of explosive device that was made. Generally, an explosive device that has been seen by agencies, there are sharpeners, there are wires that are present into it. If at all RDS is being used, and there is a carter that forms around the site of the explosion. But in this case, nothing of that sort has happened. The explosion happened. The explosion was amplified by the CNG tank and by the petrol that was all full. So because of this, we saw those fire erupting in these vehicles. And remember, this blast also happened from the rear end of the vehicle, where the petrol tank and the CNG tank are present. So this was very deliberately placed at such a location, where even a small fire or even a small blast that could happen, that could have a larger impact or have a larger intensity and cover a larger surface area, and that is what has been done. So this is prima facie seeming like a well thought out attack that has been done. Definitely it could have been done after the arrests that were made by the Jammu Kashmir police and by the Faridabad police, specifically the recoveries that were made.
Anshul, I'm going to keep coming back to you. Lieutenant General S. Harimohan Iyer, former Chief of Staff, Northern Command, Indian Army, is also with us. Sir, I'm going to come to you in just a couple of minutes. I want to go across to my colleague Arunima, who's also joining us. And Arunima, you've been tracking the meetings that the Home Minister has been holding. He has just made a statement, basically a message of intent, and the message that has been passed on to the agencies about not leaving any one of the perpetrators or the conspirators in this. But where are the leads taking the NIA that has now taken over this investigation? All right, I'm going to go across to Arunima in just a bit. I want to bring in Lieutenant General S. Harimohan Iyer first up. First such blast that has taken place outside of Jammu and Kashmir in a long time, and first such blast in the heart of national capital since 2011. Given what has transpired between India and Pakistan earlier this year, what should be India's appropriate response? I'm asking you this question because there are clear links to Jammu and Kashmir and clear links to Jaish that are now emerging as far as this blast is concerned.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on your show. As regards the connection to Pakistan and Jammu and Kashmir, it is very evident that the elements who are involved with this particular blast are connected with the Jaish. Now the issue is what is going to be our response? Op Sindoor is still on. We have just paused it. So if you want to look at a military response, the response is already on. It's a question of when the pause button is lifted and suitable operations will start. But that not possibly be the first step which the government will take. It will firstly close all the loops behind this, and the way you are investigating, your investigation has gone about speaks to a lot of logic, and by and large it will be an attempt to catch hold of as many of the domestic people who are involved with this particular incident, try and create a much stronger case. If you see what has the response with Pakistan is today, somewhere in the evening they have shown a similar kind of an incident in Islamabad. So it indicates the worry on the other side that this will be construed as a terror attack, and it will be taken back towards Pakistan. So that kind of indication is very much there, and I'm sure the investigation agencies will take its time. You see, unlike the month of May when the earlier incident happened, we had to put together our armed forces to take a particular option. In the current scheme of things, because the operation is still ongoing, that kind of a delay may not happen. So we have a little bit of more time and a suitable reaction will come from the government. And if you can read what the Prime Minister has said in his speech yesterday, and the way the Home Minister has also tweeted recently, it indicates that the government is very much determined to take the people with the perpetrators to task. So therefore, I'm sure they will first take hold of the people who are inside the country and close all the loops before taking a decision in an international level. Thank you.
Yes, and whenever that international response comes, what should be the objective this time with which the Indian Armed Forces will go for a recontinuation or a continuation of Operation Sindoor or Operation Sindoor 2.0? That's the big question in everyone's mind. General, I'm going to come back to you on that question. What could be the objectives this time, given what the objectives were last time when India did pause the operation after it said that its objectives were met? There was some criticism of that, and we knew that Pakistan wasn't going to mend its ways. But what next? But before that, on the issue of this being the handiwork of domestic terrorists or domestic radicalized men and women. Now that question cannot be escaped. Like it or not, this is a problem that India is confronting, and this is a problem that is not going away. Nobody can brush this under the carpet anymore, given that this time around we have a whole slew of professionals, doctors linked to Jammu and Kashmir and radicalized individuals who are coming to light. On that note, I want to go across to Ishan, my colleague who's joining us from Srinagar. Ishan, I want to understand from you, what has been the reaction within Srinagar and Kashmir after these links have emerged? I mean, for such an activity to come to light, professionals to come to light, and such huge recoveries being made, and plans being made to possibly conduct several serial blasts, not just in Jammu and Kashmir but outside of Jammu and Kashmir. How is the community in Jammu and Kashmir reacting to this?
Well, shocking, because people were just coming out of the horrific Pahalgam incident, and something where again links have been found towards Kashmir is something which people were absolutely shocked about. Even in the close group of friends, one would see that people were shocked to see that there is a Kashmir hand in all of this, because a lot of innocent lives were lost, and immediately people were in a kind of panic to understand what really who they are, and because the car owner was immediately traced to Kashmir, and that's when alarm bells started ringing. But it's also important to highlight that how Jammu and Kashmir police actually helped in ensuring that they are able to deal with the situation effectively. First, decoding the CCTV footage, trying to interrogate people who were behind posting of that poster, and then trying to get hands on those who were operating this module. Remember, it's not just about yesterday's explosion. It's the police's big role in trying to establish that who all were connected to it. It was just one person out of their group who was out and who they were looking for. Even during the day, we said that Umar is absconding, but possibly not a lead or so big clue that he will undertake such a big action. All the doctors were arrested, they were detained, they were questioned, interrogated, and then one after another arrests and detentions were made. And slowly it happened that police was able to actually come out with the entire explanation of the story. Though just one piece and puzzle possibly remained, which was Umar, who possibly they were trying to hunt down, because there were J&K police teams outside Jammu and Kashmir who were looking for Umar ferociously, but they couldn't look for him because he had shut down his phone, he had stopped contacting his family. His family said that from the last 3 days he had asked them not to disturb him as he is busy with his exams of students, and he has some studies to do in the library, so he wouldn't be able to take a lot of calls. Then they found his phone number to be switched off, but police had gone to Pulwama, police had gone to every corner to look for him even outside, but he stayed untraceable, but they never possibly knew that he is going to undertake such a big action. Shocking for the society, but yes, something where people will try to introspect, because it's the cream of the society. Any doctor getting radicalized is shocking indeed.
Yes, it's not just about the issue of radicalization on ground, but it's also about how, Kashmiris who are experiencing some fruits of development and mainstreaming are going to be looked at when something like this comes to light, because we do want there should be more mainstreaming and faith and responsibility that has to be shown, but we have had these issues, and now for this to come out, this entire module to come out and to be linked to the Delhi blast, first of its kind in 14 years, it's of course raised everybody's eyebrows. But let's not forget in all of this, the victims. There have been as many as 8 to 9 confirmed casualties. I want to go across to my colleague Ananya, who's actually been keeping track of those who have been killed or injured in this attack. Most of them were taken to the LNJP hospital nearby. Ananya, give me a sense of what you witnessed. What are the latest numbers? How are the injured doing as of now?
Well, absolutely. There were almost 20 plus people who have been injured in this particular incident, and 9 people per se have died. One body has not been able to identify because it was completely in parts, which is said to be of Umar, while the other 8 have been identified. In fact, one of the bodies of a particular person called Guman was actually in such a tragic stance that it was not having its head and legs, and the family was asked to identify, and it was a very, very tragic scene that unfolded outside, in fact, at the mortuary of the Maulana Azad Medical College, where these bodies were actually kept. Most of these bodies have been identified. The family has been given out these bodies after carrying out the clear postmortems, and only one body whose only minimal parts have been recovered is something that needs to be identified, and it is said to be of Umar. However, that could only be clear after the DNA sampling and the results of the DNA sampling that comes out. But also, Shivani, apart from the victims, the charges that have been leveled by, in fact, in the FIR, which is with regards to how Section 16 and 18 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which leads to a death penalty, is in fact a very, very stringent act. In fact, under UAPA, 30 days of police custody remand can be sought in one straight go, and that could actually help the investigators to actually unearth this larger conspiracy or this sinister plan that was being hashed, and a small pinch of it, which we saw in the national capital, which led to almost 8 people dead and many injured. Shivani.
Yes, absolutely. And it is those lives that have to be avenged. Ordinary Indians who were just out there earning their daily livelihoods, some of them the sole breadwinners for their families, they have perished in this attack. And this is why India's resolve will be to, of course, not only catch each and every one of the domestic conspirator and perpetrator, but also send down a very strong message internationally. I want to go across to our guest on that international message in just a bit. But before that, here's a reminder of the message that came from the Prime Minister and the Defence Minister earlier today.
इस घटना की जांच में जुटी सभी एजेंसियों के साथ, सभी महत्वपूर्ण लोगों के साथ संपर्क में था, विचार विमर्श चलता था, जानकारियों के तार जोड़े जा रहे थे। हमारी एजेंसियां इस षड्यंत्र की तह तक जाएगी। इसके पीछे के षड्यंत्रकारियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। All those responsible will be brought to justice.
All right, General Iyer, I'm coming back to you. You were talking about the fact that first, of course, we need to take care of the domestic perpetrators and conspirators, and then we will look at the international